Hey everybody, it's Jillian. It is Tuesday, and well, whew, I got on my nose. I always somehow, my the universe lets me know when I need to think about certain things or pose information that I have already in my head in a different way. And understanding the power of one and the power of two and the power of three. Well, we went over the power of three, which is the Trinity. Okay. The power of one is like Neo. The one person can make a difference. One person can make or break their community. One person can plant a seed. One person has a lot of power because they are the birth of a new idea in evolution, or they can be a destruction. One person can be a destruction in a community, in a family, in anything. And relative to who it is they're around, it could be very destructive, or they would be, then the countering forces may overwhelm them and they won't be destructive. So we know the power of one. The power of two is what I have been really dealing with, the power of two, because I noticed that the duality complexes and duality conflicts seem to always come up in politics, religion, and science. You have the good and evil, you have the Democrats versus Republicans, you have the antibodies, the agonist antibodies versus the antagonist antibodies. Everything is like for or against in any kind of argument. I mean, the power of two is in relationships. It's in everything, and there's different levels of the power of two. And so once you get beyond your perceived characterization of the power of two, because we have people in our society that look like they have great relationship, everything is copacetic, and maybe it is, maybe they went through a period of just upheaval and now finally they're working together. And so no matter what, the power of two is always going to create some kind of activity. Okay? I mean, for me and my husband to survive in this world, we both have division of labor. We both have specific duties that we uphold within our relationship. Though in the beginning, when we were getting to know each other, it was very difficult as far as working together because we had to merge two worlds together and they collided like you would not believe. And from that collision can become destruction, or it can become an evolution. Well, some relationships are prophecy to destroy itself, and some relationships are prophecy to finally evolve. And there's always indicators there, but you can never know until it actually happens. So the power of two is the pluses and minuses. It is the fission. It is the division. Fission is fission. And I learned about fission because, well, we know about nuclear fission, which is the splitting of atoms, okay? Splitting of atoms that create a powerful force and a shockwave. And we know about that from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We also know about fission, biological fission in procreation, when a sperm and an egg get together and create an egg, like an embryo, or it divide. Well, before that, well, there's two things come together and then they create something, but two becomes one because it's an evolution. So procreation comes from two forces colliding together, and it's called conception, and it becomes one force. And that force could be, relatively, well, good or evil, relative to how you want to perceive. So innovation comes from explosions. And so endings and beginnings come from pandemics, from chaos, from war, from love and hate. Okay? And so that's why it's kind of hard to characterize for some people. It's hard to characterize the power of two to be good or evil, because it's all relative to what kind of production and how you characterize the production between the two. But nuclear fission is very powerful. Biological fission is very powerful. It makes a baby. Then you have literary fission and media fission, which is the division, the good and evil, the good guy and the bad guy. I mean, I'm watching all these different Netflix videos and shows, and it's always the same formula: the good guy, the bad guy, and then all the supporting actors. And the storylines are all relatively the same. You know, they have drugs, alcohol, and snacks, and it's just like it's very predictable, because that's how people are attracted. They're attracted to controversy. They're attracted to activity. They're attracted to the predator-prey type relationship. And so I wrote about a lot this last summer about predator and prey and victim and predator. I mean, it's all the same stuff, and they do attract each other no matter what. The power of two is what causes the evolution, innovation, chaos, and war and pandemics. So anyway, so I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense of why now they have the breakdown of the family. Our system, okay? Because family creates innovation, but it also can create chaos. I mean, how many people that you know are in families where one person is a black sheep, or there's so much drama in families because there's so many pluses and minuses colliding with each other? And I noticed that in my family, I noticed in every single family I've ever got to know, some hide it very well, because there's always somebody in the family that doesn't belong. And so that makes sense. I mean, that the family breaks down, but that's all by physics. It's all by design. It's physics. It's not like they're intending the families to break down. That's just the physics of it. When you have pluses and minuses hanging out together, trying to find a common ground, and one seems to be a divergent, and that divergent is an ostracized and not welcome, because they're not adding to the coalescing of the group think mentality. And so I'm going to read this so I can get myself on track here, because I had to kind of give a lead in, because yesterday I was talking about fission, Fission, and that came from, I was watching Anne Frank and the Diary of Anne Frank, listening to it on Netflix. And I wasn't watching, I was listening, so I was just closing my eyes, just resting. And then they were talking about the end of the war, when Japan first went after Pearl Harbor, and then we retaliated to such an exponential level. It ended the war and it began a new society. And so I'm writing about microbial fission of endings and beginnings. And so the ending of an old, which is like a mother, like she's going to raise that child, but mothers nowadays in our society, they're deteriorating because they give everything to their kids. They sacrifice themselves for their kids, which I get. Yeah, you want to make sure your kid's great. But then, that's our society, is every ending is a beginning. So the ending are the parents, the beginning are the children, and it keeps going on like, infinite sacred geometry. But what would happen if mothers and fathers didn't have to die after they had that kid? Well, if mothers and fathers never died, if they were living indefinitely, they probably wouldn't be procreating. Because from procreation comes from evolution, innovation, and chaos. Okay? I mean, that's why people get together in a lot of ways. It's because there's something missing with them. They're looking for somebody to complete them. And then that chemistry then collides together, and it could be a very, moderate collision, or it could be very explosive collision. And that's why you see some relationships are very, very explosive, and some are relatively mild, because people have finally figured out their place in a relationship. So every single thing you think, feel, and experience, touch, taste, smell, hear, see, are based upon vital programming. And why I'm saying this now is because I was watching a thing about transgender last night, or the trans world. And it's very interesting listening to the stories of the children and the parents, and how the kids are expressing to their parents what they're feeling, what they're thinking. And the parents want to make sure their kid gets everything they need to make them feel like everything is good, and that they are supported 100%. So it was very interesting watching that frontline documentary about trans children and the parents. It's not always the parents pushing an agenda. Sometimes kids need to express very early on what they think and feel, and how they can feel like they are who they are in this society. Well, I remember the Attorney General asking me a long time ago, back in 2018, a long time ago, it seems like a forever ago, when I was talking about how, lifestyles could be reversed. And they're like, well, how can you think that? And that's something that people are like, oh my God, how can you say that? Well, I mean, viruses are viruses. Viruses run on programming. Everybody is programmed by a virus. I don't care what it is. Now, what is going to be the most correct? It's hard to say. What your body says and what you feel, I mean, who knows which one holds the most power? It's all run by a virus. So when you actually reset your body, will your body be the one that's most correct, or will your mind be the one that's most correct? I have no idea. You'll find out. But I couldn't say that back then because I didn't even know that viruses were the thing that programmed the world. So I'm just like, I just knew that how I felt, and I still feel the same way about my husband. It hasn't changed. But I knew that there are other things in my hormones that were changing because some of the viral programming that was conflicting were released out of my waterfalls. I was blowing my nose. And I also chased after information that changed the way I think too as well. And so when you get rid of conflicting programming, now all of a sudden, whatever the predominant you that was trying to emerge that caused you to feel like something is wrong, but you weren't sure what it was, finally you're able to align your body, mind, and spirit. And so whatever that comes out to be, whatever it is, I have no idea. Again, I cannot predict what is the most correct when it comes to conflicting programming in your body. And so you guys will find out for yourself what is the most correct. And it seems that we are seeing that those in the past, a lot of non-binaries were in leaders of government, and I wouldn't doubt it. There's so much. Humans are not just one way or two ways. Humans can be so many different ways. It's just based upon the programming. Okay? So all viruses run hormones. Your hormones are what determines your lifestyle, your belief system, everything you say and do. You have many conflicting programming because that's what makes a person or people hypocritical, chaotic, innovative, revolutionary, evolutionary, ultimately either procreating or regenerating. So diversity is like welcome. Now, the thing with diversity is, can it maintain for a long period of time? And that's what we're trying to find out with the J-Juice mentality. Is your diversity, your diverse thinking, can it stand the test of time? And your diverse thinking comes from your physiological point of view, which is all the viral programming. Because it's easy to poke somebody and prod someone and do a nip and do a tuck and take out this and take out that and kind of, do like a scarecrow and Tin Man type of thing. But we know those cures, those specific programming, whatever it is people do, it's all temporary. So what is going to stand the test of time more than 100 years? Definitely it's not going to be doing all the nips and tucks and the surgical and the hormone replacement therapy and all the different things that people are doing in the medical holistic industry. And so either you're going to be mitotically regenerating, which is cloning your cells. Okay, so as long as they're not so out of whack that they won't stand the test of time, that your cells are cloning and they're also evolving to the level of the atmosphere. So you could be in a cured state for a certain amount of time until a new evolution comes in, like a new virus comes in and then resets the body, which is why things right now are going to be very cattywampus this fall, because we have so many people with latent viral programming that does run the body, sends off the crazy messages, which is why they're on pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes. And this new, very, very strong viral entity that is steadily mutating from Delta, Delta Plus, Lambda, that's then going to go in and do some type of firework program, because all energy begets energy. When things go viral, the very strong influence is going to then trigger other programming that's going to resist right back. I mean, you saw what happened with me. Just take this to the Julie Juice mentality level. I put out a thought process. People were feeling pain. I said, one tablespoon of salt versus 1 teaspoon, which was the original recipe. People freaked the hell out. But I was this very powerful, virus. Just call me a virus back then. It was a very powerful virus that said something and had things happen when people were feeling their retroactive evolution. And you saw the pushback. You saw the amount of energy from everybody, not only the mainstream media, but all of the trolls, all the people that just couldn't handle pain, couldn't handle energy. And they pushed back so hard, and I still withstood it. I mean, it wasn't comfortable. It sucked like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I was going off like an MFer for a couple years. So imagine when a lambda or a delta plus comes into an environment, such as your body, and you have predispositions and latent viruses, conflicting programming that doesn't want to change. And now you have this powerful entity that says, okay, I'm here now. You got to deal with me. And I have very powerful algorithms that's going to overtake almost everything that you have. Do you have enough substance to deal with this evolution? And come to find out, some people will not have what it takes to deal with the fireworks of that transfer of energy, because that's what it is. That's what viruses are. They're transfers of energy, and they influence and trigger other viruses relative to the programming. So it's like taking a plus and minus and putting them together like a battery plus and a battery minus, like a plus and minus cable. You put them together, it melts the freaking battery and everything inside the vehicle. That's why you shouldn't be doing that. You should be putting the light cables to light cables. But that's like putting antimatter and matter together. Okay, explosive combination. And so it's okay in a body that can handle it. I mean, that's the thing. My body, I have fat on me, not too much and not too little. I got muscle on me, not too much, not too little. I was a little bit sore yesterday. I wasn't doing anything, but I was sore. My muscles were sore. So I think something's going on, with my body, with this environment. And so I have the ability, since I've trained my body to expel the excess, and I have enough substance and reserves to take on new programming without my body going to such explosive reactions that then blood vessels burst. This is what happens when people have nothing to them, and they have weak hearts and weak lungs and weak neurological system, and they now are taking on a new viral programming that's very, very powerful. Fireworks, that shockwave will cause an amount of a force that could burst blood vessels. That's why heart attacks and strokes happen, because all the viral programming is finally waking up when you bring in salt, when you bring in other energy forces, because you're going to have to deal with evolving. Evolution is energy, but you must have the substance, the insulation to deal with that energy. And most people out there either have so much substance that that the substance they have has taxed their hearts and their lungs and everything already, or they have hardly anything to them, and they won't be able to handle that shock wave of energy. That's why you're far away from fireworks. You don't stand next to a firework when it goes off, because that shock wave could hurt you. Well, imagine that happening in your body 50 times over. So I had to find an analogy that I was like, bottle rockets? No, fireworks is what goes on. And then when you put the GIF or the meme of fireworks, you see what happens out there in the sky, July 4th. Okay, for America. We have over here the Hall of Fame. You can see fireworks from I can't see it from my house. But right now it's the Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame season. So we have people from miles around coming into Ohio just to see, the tour of the Hall of Fame and listen to the music and whatever. And so fireworks are going off like every weekend. And that's what goes on in your body. So the fireworks in your body of viruses waking up is the pain. And then people want to go and squelch that pain because they don't have what it takes to deal with the evolution. And that's why people degrade in our society. So nuclear fission, biological fission, same thing. Literary, media fission, politics, religion, and science fission, fiction, nonfiction. See, there's some definitely, you hear some of the stuff, right? All serve to divide with the intention for innovation and evolution. There's always byproducts and casualties of innovation and evolution. However, as we are more advanced, the casualties are more of a choice than an intention from somebody else, especially in the age of information. So you know about the J juice, you know about the food supply. There's no discrimination in the food supply. The J juice is temporary. You must feel the pain. Get off your freaking supplements and detoxes and pills and powders. So I know people are still going to do what they're going to do. I can't help that. The outcome is going to be the intention. So if you're not surviving this atmosphere because you're taking your pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes, and all of your different, herbs and extracts, and you're using J juice in reaction to, you're not going to survive this environment. So we'll see in the next 10 years how many people are actually speaking speaking in alignment with what they're saying now on my Facebook versus what they're actually practicing in their home. Because we don't know what people do. We only know what they say they do. But the outcome down the road is going to be the intention. It's really going to be the moment of truth. So that's why those of you that understand the J juice, you'll be the one to prove it probably in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Because I'm telling you, Agenda 2030 is where they're going to have mandatory immunizations for everybody from day one and all the COVID. When you're born all the way to whenever. And so if you can't survive this next 10 years, or you're going to deal with some shit this next 10 years and you don't want to deal with it, and you end up just contracting something that you don't want to deal with, because you're going to have to feel pain. If you're taking pills, powder supplements, and detoxes and doing J juice, because in reaction to pain, you're not going to be able to handle the evolution. There's no freaking way. It's only going to get worse. And look, they're going to be FDA approving some of these immunizations this fall. Okay? So the writing's on the wall, people. They're getting you prepared that you're going to have to deal with what's in the immunizations, which, okay, it's just evolution, as well as what's in your environment. And they're never going to ban salt. And they're not going to ban food. And they're not going to ban probiotics. So you have it made. If you're dependent upon, your supplements and all your detoxes, and as well as the drugs and all that stuff, you're not going to survive very long in this society. There's no freaking way. Okay? So anyways, fireworks are beautiful from far away, but when fireworks happening, your body, not everybody survives. Oh, when fireworks are happening in your body, okay. Not everybody survives. It's shockwave. And if you have weak blood vessels and atrophied ways to expel, your body will not be able to handle the amount of energy in your environment. And that's really what's going to be happening. There's going to be a lot of shockwaves. So then I said supplements are nothing more than hormone replacement therapy. And when viral programming taxes your different hormonal channels and ionic gates, people start turning supplements, pills, powders, detoxes, herbs, extracts, and more chemical imbalances. And also to notice with my dog, her predispositions are hip dysplasia, skin conditions, neurological issues, weight gain, mange or whatever. And I'm noticing now, that her hips, the way she walks sometimes is kind of crooked, but then it corrects itself. And yesterday, she can feel some of the pain in her back legs, but she's doing fine. But she was going around my house just 20, 30 times. Because we have a circular type of house where you can just run around the middle part of the house. And so she is running from the family room to the entryway to the dining room to the kitchen to the family room. And it's just every room. And she's doing it in circles and circles. And then she'd pant, drink some water, and keep going in circles and circles. And I noticed it was hard for her to get up on the bed a few times too. So I think her back legs were definitely giving her issues. But she was walking crooked a little bit, but it corrects itself. But I keep feeding her food because those viral evolutions are coming to surface now. So everything that, if you're going to understand the J juice mentality and feeding viruses, not suppressing them, your dog, you read all the predispositions of your dog, that's what your dog's going to be dealing with. Okay? Throughout the healing process. If you're to give them probiotics, a little bit of J juice, all the food in the food supply, I give my dog ham and blueberries and some of my probiotics in the yogurt from the Activia. I give her some ice cream, some, vanilla or coconut ice cream. I give her whatever we eat. It could be like a fettuccine. She loves the fettuccine Alfredo with the noodles and with the meat in it. And I give her some steak and I give her bacon. I'm feeding all of her viruses, because the ones that are going to make a difference for her are going to be stronger, and the ones that are not so important are going to be released through her poop. And she poops every single day. Okay? And so I make sure that she is so well fed, because I'm telling you, her dog food is not enough. And it's not just raw food, not raw meat. Okay, people are like, oh yeah, the raw meat diet. No, they need carbs, they need sugar, they need everything that you would need except for certain things. Like you don't feed your dog raisins, you don't feed your dog grapes, she doesn't eat fruit. Okay, but I give her, she gets some of the probiotics in the Activia yogurt I've been giving her now, and then all the meat, and then the carbs and some of the sugar. Okay, I give her some rice with some cheese. She gets cheese if she wants it. So I give her as a diverse diet that I would feed myself, mitigating certain things that dogs can have. They can't have chocolate. They can't have, there's certain things that dogs are not supposed to have, and you can Google that, okay? But everything that I eat, for the most part, she eats. And I don't eat much chocolate anyways. My husband eats chocolate. But I think, actually, I do sometimes the mocha coffees. So I'm feeding her hip dysplasia so she can regenerate, and her body is changing. She looks like she's skinnier now, and not because I'm not feeding her. I'm feeding her everything, but she's been dealing with the virus too. The virus is also changing her and upgrading her. And so I am being fluid with the environment by feeding her with the viruses in the environment. I don't give her antibiotics. I don't try to suppress any of that shit. Okay? I know that she's going to have to deal with this for a certain amount of time. It won't be for a long time she'll be dealing with this pain because she's gone through so many different stages. Okay? And I make sure that she is well taken care of, that she's supported throughout this. I give her so much moral support and love and whatever that she feels great. And so right now she's sleeping. You could see her right there. That's her place. Okay. And so I see that with my animal, all the predispositions, which are the latent viruses that were able to be activated because of immune suppression through the holistic allopathic. Because, yeah, she came from the shelter, and the shelter took her to the vet when she had tumors. And they surgically removed tumors, and they also spayed her at the same time. And sure, she was immunized too at the doctor's office or the vet's office. All those shots and everything. So, so there's a lot of immune suppression going on when you go to the vet, when you go to the doctor's office. And so finally, I activated everything in her immune system. And so now she's finally dealing with all the latent evolution that she didn't get in the beginning. And that's what's going to happen for all of you. You're going to have to deal with latent evolution. If you don't want to deal with latent evolution, then you will go down the road of the supplements, of the pills and the powders, and taking out organs and doing all your different hormone replacement therapy, of which then the inevitable is going to be death. That's just going to be the outcome. You already see it. There's so much evidence. There's nothing that you can't dispute where I'm coming from. So, but I'm telling you, the salts and the jade juice and everything, when you reset your body, it's going to give you some mental clarity. You're going to see the connections that you never saw before because you're living in a cured state of a world. A cured state. The world that you lived in prior to the virus and prior to the jade juice was a cured state. And then they were feeding you information incrementally, guiding your thought processes, having you go down rabbit hole after a rabbit hole after a rabbit hole until you were so distracted with so many rabbit holes that you never took care of yourself. And that's what happened in the conspiracy community, is that people were going down rabbit holes and they never made all the connections. They made some connections, but not all of them. They were still steadily passing away. They're still being an activist, going and railing and doing this and doing that and playing the nuclear fission game in politics, religion, and science. Okay? And so finally, when you do reset everything in your body and you deal with all your latent evolution, then you take yourself out of the war. You know it's necessary, but you'll be at peace. And you'll listen to indicators so you're not caught up in the melee of it all. Because there's definitely right now, there's a lot of melee going on. And you'll be smart in your choices. And some things you used to tolerate, you won't tolerate anymore. You'll walk away. You won't even try to change the people that you are not tolerating. You just walk away. Because it's not worth you trying to change someone that's already hardwired at this point to do what they do. And so you just become the example, and you just hope that people will take notice and maybe change it. But, that's not going to always happen and never be the expectation. So, J juice does wake up all the latent evolution, no different than when you were shown the different truths in the conspiracy world. Okay? And once you're able to fathom that the world what you thought was isn't so, then you might be able to understand that you also have parts of your body asleep that need to be woken up. And the virus will activate that, yes. As well as the J juice. The J juice was preemptive. I'm telling you, the J juice came around at a very opportune time, at a very, very strategic time. And it wasn't because I just thought, it wasn't because I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen in 2020. Nobody knew, except for people that knew it, which were whoever it was. They knew what was going to happen in 2020. And if you look at the Denver International Airport murals, that might give you a clue on who knew what was going on. But I'm not going to go down that road because who cares? Okay? But I didn't know that this was going to happen. So whatever I thought of it, it was very, organic, but maybe it was really part of the change in our society. And, watching my parents promote all of their politics, and I'm like, that doesn't work. You guys didn't make it, and you thought you guys would make it. You're not making it. All your belief systems, I understand that where they came from, but now it's a new generation. Maybe what you thought and what you studied in academia isn't so. Maybe there needs to be a change. And if you're not exemplifying your belief system, then maybe your belief system isn't working. So, so I came from a very interesting background, but whatever. And not that, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, but whatever. But anyways, I'm not trying to pump myself up here. But I'm just saying that it's time to wake up not only yourself in the world that you live in, but wake up the parts of your body that are asleep. Okay? And that's all the J juice is. It's in alignment with what's going on with this virus. Now it's time to deal with these viruses head on and feed them. Not try to destroy them or destroy yourself. Because you destroy a virus in you, you destroy yourself. Because viruses need a host. You're the host. Okay, so this should be YouTube friendly, I think. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.